tuning in to the annual meeting highlights video. While nothing beats the real thing, I hope that this will give the... We began with prayer, praying for our annual meeting and also praying for those members who have died since the last annual meeting. Moving on, we accepted the minutes. The minutes were accepted unanimously. Afterward, we had our elections. I can say that all the elections went through unanimously as well. We have Maud Mead, Scott Amaral, Rosalind James, and David Bresnahan as our officers, with Scott and Maud serving as our co-wardens. And here's the rest of our vestry. In addition, we have Isabella Harris, David Bresnahan, and Patrick Kim as our deanery representatives. We have Isabella Harris and David Bresnahan as our Dawson Convention representatives, with Maud Mead serving as the alternate for that position. And we have Anderson Clark and Chris Wilson representing us as Episcopal City Mission delegates. My priest in charge report. Ta-da! So there's a question, what do I even do? Now it's clear what I do on Sunday, spending time doing church things. But otherwise, it's easy to imagine that I have very little to do other than preparing my sermon. But oh, that is not true. This pie chart shows how I spend my time. If you look at the chart, the largest block is actually in pastoral care. I spent more time with you all in your homes, in meetings, and in other times, being with you pastorally and supporting your leadership than any other thing that I did. There was also a lot of time spent in administration. That's the orange block there. Administration is everything from printing bulletins to just having the building open when we needed to get something fixed to things of that nature. And the time on funds and rentals I wanted to mention because we produced 16 grants in this past year, and I spent a lot of work trying to raise funds for the congregation for various projects and for the congregation as a whole. In addition, that's also time spent trying to rent various properties, and I'll talk more about that later. So looking back in the year 2015, we had a year with some great challenges and also some great successes. We have our Saints Triumphant in Miss Lila and in Bishop, who have gone on, and we miss them dearly. In addition, we have a question of space. On the one hand, we were very successful in renting our space in diverse ways. Jose Mateo Ballet Theater, Champion Youth, and City Mission Society are three of a number of organizations that have started to rent our space, and that's been helpful revenue. Nonetheless, we have the issue of space with our child care center continuing to be unused and costing a lot to heat and maintain. In addition, we have other space, office spaces and community spaces that if rented out properly could really help us be more sustainable. And so I think the biggest question we have before us around sustainability is how we best use space. However, this year was also a great year of outreach and growth. Many of you who are tuning into this might be newer to St. Mary's. This was a year where we added a fair amount of new members, and not just new people to come in and sit in the pews, though that is very, very important, but also people interested in mission, interested in social change, interested in offering their gifts to St. Mary's. We had quite a few baptisms and other things, and so we're blessed by that, and that effort has been led primarily by our Missio team. And lots of prayer. We prayed on Sundays at St. Mary's as we always do, which is awesome. However, this year we also had opportunities to pray outside of our Sunday worship. During Advent and Lent, we had lay-led prayer, led by some awesome lay leaders who are part of our community. And the hope is that we can pray more and more in this coming year. And we also formed new partnerships. The main one I want to focus on is our Mission Hub. Our Mission Hub is a relationship that we have with St. Cyprian, St. Augustine, St. Martin, and recently St. John, St. James, where we're coming together with the help of resources from the Diocesan Collaborative Campaign in order to work together to increase our impact in our communities, to come together for important social justice work, and to grow as communities of faith together. Next, we had our Wardens report. I can't give a report as well as Maud did. What I can say is that she commented on how the year went. She talked about our continued support of Be Safe. She commented on how we continue to serve people through our food pantry. She also talked about our bishop's visit and just this being a strong year for St. Mary's. Maud commented on the health of our community, how we have a good balance of celebrating the members who've been here for a long time while also being opening and welcoming and hospitable to those who are newer to our community as well. I'd like to take this time to commend Maud for her leadership. She stepped into the role of being our sole warden in this past year and did that very, very well. Next up was our Mission Hub report, and Rev D talked about her excitement about coming together to do this work. A big theme for the day was not just taking care of ourselves, but really taking care of our community and seeing our community of St. Mary's not just as those who are within the walls, but outside the walls as well. And the work of the Mission Hub is really helping our communities do that. With Rev D as our director, we're looking forward to increasing our community involvement, increasing our social justice involvement as well. That will be initially through our work with elders, through some elder organizing that we're really excited to do, also through our work starting an English class here at St. Mary's as well, and looking ahead to doing youth work together in the future. The Mission Hub work is exciting, and I hope that you can get involved with it. Next up was our treasures report, and Rosalind is truly incredible as a treasurer, and she offered a great report. What I can say at this point is that 2015 was tough for us financially. We were over $30,000 in deficit, in large part because of some unforeseen expenses around the building, and so that was very, very difficult for us. Nonetheless, 2016... Next up, we had our Emmaus Fellow report. Will, who is now our Emmaus Fellow, has been with us for the past year and a half, and this past year has seen a big increase in his activity. A big part of that has been starting and really running our 20s and 30s group, which has been a wonderful source of community for many new members, many of whom live in our general neighborhood. So that's been a wonderful ministry that he's led and run. Will has also practiced a lot of leadership with our green initiatives, both in helping our green grant process to get the mini split done and to help us be more sustainable in an environmental sense, and also helping head up some efforts to have one garden planted and another garden plot built, and building some partnerships around that. Will also does invaluable work with our systems and operations, supporting our food pantry significantly through his systems work, and also doing everything from website to social media. As the closest thing that I have to another full-time staff person, Will really helps this place run as well. And finally, we have our ministries report. If you are listening to this, you have access to one of our annual reports. And so I invite you to look at them. Look especially at the report from the food pantry and also our Steel Pan. The Steel Pan Ensemble put forth a great report, and I think it's reflective of all the work that they've done this year. And my hope is that we can bring them even more deeply into the center of our parish life this year. In addition to that, we have reports around music, reports around Altar Guild, and some other ministry areas, so I invite you to read those reports. Finally, looking ahead to 2016, we have three main areas of focus that came out of our bishop's visit and that our vestry has been working on and thinking about. The first is financial stability, and the big piece with that is, once again, figuring out what to do with our building. And so we're going to be making a push with a small group of leaders who are going to help me figure out how to get our spaces rented, how to get money to renovate certain spaces so that we can move closer to financial stability. A big part of that work will also be continuing to grow as a congregation. We saw a growth in pledges and a growth in participation that was very helpful, and we hope to get the same in this upcoming year. The next is our social justice impact and presence. We do a lot of service, and the next step is for us to get out and change some of the systems that cause the world to require so much service. And so I see our social justice impact being multiplied through our relationship with the Mission Hub, and then potentially through our relationship with the Greater Boston Interfaith Organization. Also, with Episcopal City Mission, and with the hard work and passions of congregants. And finally, Latino ministry. The Latino population around our neighborhood is growing, and growing pretty substantially. And I believe that we are a congregation that is diverse enough, that is hospitable enough to provide some sort of spiritual home. We already have quite a few Latinos within our congregation as well, and one thing that I would like for us to consider and begin working on in 2016 is this kind of outreach. It may begin simply with, adding a reading during the service, translating bulletins, and it may eventually become having a whole other service in addition to our two services on Sunday in Spanish. We don't know exactly what this will look like, but we look forward to involving you all in this as well. And once again, this work is about meeting Jesus, encontrando Jesús. And so our hope is that, we as St. Mary's can continue to be a community that meets and finds and celebrates Jesus in many faces, be they old or young, black or white or Latino or Asian, gay or straight, whatever gender expression. Our hope is that we can continue to grow in the ways that we can meet and welcome and really work with the Jesus that we find around us. And finally, faith and prayer. At the center of our life is our faith and our prayer. And we grew a lot in this way in the last year, and my hope is that that can continue. Now, this question of discernment, you might notice in the report that I talk a lot about the next 6 months. That is because my time as your priest in charge ends in July. And so it is my hope that through the process of discernment, which will be led by certain leaders in our congregation, we'll arrive at the place where you will get the chance to call a rector. And I would be lying if I say I don't have an idea about who that should be, and I hope that I am that person. But nonetheless, this is a time for us to discern truly, not just my leadership here, but how we are doing as a congregation, what are our major gifts, and how we should move forward. I believe this discernment is some of the most important work that we're going to have to do in the coming months. And finally, I just want to share with you deep gratitude. I've been with you for 2.5 years as your priest, and I'm deeply grateful for your gifts. The first gift I'd like to raise up is your courage. This is a picture of Joshua, and Joshua had the great courage to move forward where others didn't, and I thank you for having the courage. Like the Virgin Mary pictured here, I also like to thank St. Mary's for the gift of yes. It seems like where other communities might be afraid or might be concerned about the challenges, we really know how to embrace yes here. And you said yes to a lot of new ideas and new initiatives. You said yes to the challenge to make a greater impact in our community, and for that, I thank you. I also like to lift up our hospitality here. We have Abraham here pictured, and Abraham, in being hospitable as he was, entertained angels. And I think we understand the angels that exist around us and how important it is for us to be hospitable. Thank you for being so hospitable to those in our neighborhood and also to me and my family. And finally, we have Queen Esther here. And Queen Esther had an opportunity to rest on her laurels as queen and to live a very comfortable life. But Queen Esther decided that her life was nothing without the life of her people. And I believe that she has a gift that we have as a community of St. Mary's as well. A gift to not just care about ourselves, but to care about others, be it through our food pantry ministry and other outreach ministries we're doing. Thank you for fighting for the lives of those outside of our walls as well. And finally, our relationship with God. One of my favorite moments in the Gospels is when the apostles asked Jesus to teach them how to pray. And, one thing that's amazing to me about St. Mary's is that you continually seek to learn how to pray and seek to pray more. And so I thank you for that gift, and I hope that gift will continue. And just in general, I share with you